Yeah. Happy birthday, Cuz. Happy birthday.
Yo, Sha, what's up?
Yeah, y'all already know how we playing out. This real life.
Real life.
Nigga, no Diddy gang, Meek Mill in real life. Don't ever disrespect me, you
Talk
heard?
that Meek. Yeah, Meek.
What? Yo, wait a minute. Wait.
I'm at a point in my life, like, we all grew up in the streets. And we try to do better, but they labeled us fellas, sent us back to jail. I had to fight against that.
What if I told you Meek Mill's birthday party with Diddy wasn't just a celebration, but the beginning of a dark initiation caught on tape? Leaks are out, secrets are spilling, and the truth might ruin more than just careers. Let's break it down. That leaked birthday video of Diddy with Meek Mill turned out to be something nobody was expecting. Instead of just showing a party, it came off more like an initiation into the darker side of Diddy's world. Since the clip surfaced, the way people see both of them has shifted completely. If you've been following Diddy's legal troubles, you already know the accusations paint him as running a highly controlled empire where plenty of names have been linked to his disturbing games, though everyone involved has denied it. Still, the streets aren't buying those denials. The whispers suggest everyone who stepped into that circle was deeper in than they want to admit. That includes Cassie, Meek, and even those who seemed like they were only there to toast with champagne. Even though Diddy managed to sidestep some RICO charges, the silence in court doesn't erase the truth. What's buried always finds its way back up. And now, old secrets are resurfacing backed by receipts. Hollywood has long been rumored to have tapes floating around, but these aren't just wild party clips. They're power moves captured on film, the kind of footage that feels like blackmail fuel. And the weight of it has people more shaken than they want to show.
You're saying that there's tapes and they're being shot?
Yes, there have been people already shopping.
We've heard about the tapes, but
yes.
The shopping thing is...
Yes, there already have been tapes leaking around Hollywood, being shopped around to individuals.
Here's where it gets even wilder. Rumor has it Diddy wasn't just the host of the chaos. He was the one actually holding the camera. The whispers claim he recorded everything, not as keepsakes, but as weapons. The suggestion is chilling. These weren't home videos. They were power tools, carefully cataloged for leverage against anyone who might step out of line. That's why, for years, industry insiders have warned about Diddy's so-called vault, a collection of moments too compromising to ever see the light of day. And while outsiders might dismiss it as conspiracy talk, the pattern of whispers is hard to ignore when so many voices echo the same story. Take Jaguar Wright, for example. She's long been a loud critic of the music industry's darker underbelly. Jaguar has claimed time and again that Diddy used these recordings like bargaining chips, ensuring loyalty from artists, executives, and even people outside the music world who crossed paths with him. She wasn't alone either. Gene Deal, once one of Diddy's closest security guards, has repeatedly gone public with claims that his former boss had a habit of documenting everything. According to Deal, what seemed like wild party energy to outsiders was in fact carefully orchestrated, staged in ways that left attendees vulnerable and indebted. To understand why these claims hit so hard, you have to consider the history. Hollywood and the music industry have always thrived on secrets, from Marilyn Monroe's alleged affairs being hidden by powerful studios, to more recent stories about Harvey Weinstein using both intimidation and silence contracts. Control has often come down to who has dirt on whom. Diddy's rumored camera habits fit into that same tradition, but on a modern, high-tech scale. Instead of whispers, these are allegedly hard drives full of clips. Instead of just stories traded in private, these are receipts that could ruin careers, or worse, if ever exposed. And if you think that sounds far, remember that tapes have always had a strange, almost mythic place in celebrity culture. The infamous Pamela Anderson and Tommy Lee video in the 90s reshaped the way people thought about private recordings. Paris Hilton and Kim Kardashian's leaked tapes catapulted them into household name status, whether by accident or design. But what insiders claim about Diddy's collection is different. These weren't recordings meant to boost anyone's profile. They weren't consensual attempts to market intimacy. These were allegedly darker, often non-consensual captures of people at their weakest, wildest, or most compromising moments. And in the cutthroat world of fame, that's ammunition. The psychology of leverage is also worth noting. When someone holds evidence of your lowest moments, even if the world never sees it, the fear alone is enough to keep you compliant. A recording can make a superstar think twice about speaking out, about suing, or about walking away from a contract. It becomes an invisible leash. Think about the bigger picture. an artist might want to leave a label or start exposing shady practices. But the knowledge that Diddy or anyone might have tapes capable of destroying reputations or families could silence them instantly. It's not just business insurance, it's control at its most personal level. Jaguar Wright has often described this as an open secret in hip-hop. According to her, people in the industry joke about it quietly, while publicly denying everything. That's how power structures often operate. Everybody knows, but nobody says anything out loud because the risk is too high. And when someone does speak, they're painted as unstable, bitter, or chasing clout. Jaguar herself has been called all of those things, but the fact remains, her claims line up eerily well with what Gene Deal and others have said independently. Gene Deal, in particular, is an interesting figure. As one of Diddy's former bodyguards, he wasn't just in the room, he was the guy making sure others couldn't get in the room. When someone like that comes forward, it carries a certain weight. Deal has suggested that the parties weren't spontaneous bacchanals, but carefully planned productions. There was always a camera angle, always a way to make sure the right faces were in the frame. And if Deal is to be believed, Diddy made no secret of the fact that he wanted to hold on to those tapes, just in case. Skeptics, of course, argue that this is all speculation. They say if such tapes existed, they'd have leaked by now. But that argument ignores the very nature of leverage. Why would someone leak their most powerful weapon? A secret loses its value the second it becomes public. The true potency of these alleged recordings lies in their silence, in the not knowing, in the fear of what might be seen if they do surface. It's the difference between a gun in a holster and a bullet fired. The gun in the holster keeps everyone on edge indefinitely. There's also the question of timing. Why are these claims exploding now? Well, look at the broader context. Diddy has faced growing scrutiny in court and in the press. Lawsuits have piled up. Allegations that once seemed fringe are now landing in mainstream headlines. In moments like these, older rumors gain new weight. People start revisiting past interviews, podcast clips, and insider testimonies that might have been ignored before. Suddenly, what once sounded like gossip starts to look like evidence that was hiding in plain sight. It's also worth noting how technology has shifted the game. In the 90s or early 2000s, keeping compromising footage private meant locking it in a safe or storing it on tapes that could be physically destroyed. Today, cloud storage, encrypted drives, and burner phones make it possible for material to be duplicated and hidden across multiple platforms. That means if Diddy or anyone did build a vault of compromising clips, it wouldn't just sit in one place. It would exist in layers, with backups, ensuring it couldn't easily vanish, even if someone tried. That possibility alone makes the alleged vault feel more real to some observers. And then there's the culture of fear. Several artists have left Bad Boy Records or distanced themselves from Diddy over the years, often citing vague reasons or creative differences. But fans now look back at those exits differently. Were some of those departures fueled by fear of exposure? Did artists stay silent about business disputes because of what might leak if they spoke too loudly? The speculation runs deep, and while no one outside that circle can know for sure, the theory fits the puzzle pieces almost too well. Finally, let's not forget the human element. Behind the glitz of Vegas mansions, million-dollar contracts, and champagne fountains, you've got real people caught in webs of power, manipulation, and fear. If even a fraction of these claims are true, it paints a grim picture of an industry that feeds on vulnerability and exploits trust. And it raises unsettling questions about how many careers, friendships, and even lives have been shaped or destroyed by the contents of recordings that may never see the public eye. So, when Jaguar Wright and Gene Deal speak, it's not just idle chatter. It's a reminder of how power often operates quietly in the background, and whether or not Diddy's vault exists in the exact way described. The idea alone speaks volumes about the culture of secrecy and leverage in the music world. Sometimes the scariest truths aren't the ones you can watch in a leaked video, they're the ones you'll never see, but know are out there, waiting, like shadows behind the spotlight.
Here and told y'all there was activity on the darknet. Videos were being distributed and were going to be sold for profit because the diddler needs the money. Did I not say that? Right here.
Bruh, those people who was caught at Diddy party did not know that he had 250 tape recorders in that house. That's a big house. But he had 250 tape recorders
Word on the street is that Diddy's so-called birthday tape with Meek just hit the surface and it's way more than a party. It was pure chaos, wrapped in luxury. Let's back up. The event was staged as a celebration for Meek's 27th birthday. But instead of happening on the actual day, Diddy rented out the lavish Parisian palace in Las Vegas 3 days later for a cool $25,000. The timing wasn't random either. It fell on the same weekend as the Mayweather vs. Maradona fight, which meant the entire celebrity circuit was already in town. From the start, it was clear this wasn't your average birthday bash. Diddy had Meek in matching outfits, a statement of both affection and authority. The details were curated with precision. Lingerie-clad dancers wandering the halls, a woman lying naked as a living sushi platter under sheer vinyl, and an atmosphere designed to blur the line between celebration and spectacle. By 3 a.m., the palace looked more like the aftermath of a crime scene than a party. According to property manager Jason Haidt, the mansion was left trashed: broken bottles, used condoms, blood-stained bedding, and even half an ounce of cocaine scattered across the place. Then came the audio leak. A viral clip supposedly recorded that night captured Diddy and Meek in an intimate act so wild that the rumor claimed Meek nearly ended up hospitalized. Social media went into overdrive. Reactions poured in, with disbelief, jokes, and outrage dominating the conversation. Meek responded quickly, dismissing the audio as fake. He insisted it was AI-generated and accused faceless enemies of trying to smear him with bots and digital manipulation. On X, he doubled down with a fiery post. "My voice is so powerful as a black man from the ghetto worldwide. They want it gone. I'm a real king straight out the trenches under control of no human. They learn how to damage, can't stop us off-brand and from bots and campaigns like politicians." Strong words, but the court of public opinion wasn't convinced. Many called it desperate damage control, pointing out that Meek and Diddy had always been unusually close. The real questions started bubbling. Who leaked the audio, and who was behind the recording in the first place? Speculation quickly turned toward Diddy's own inner circle, with whispers that one of his bodyguards might have been the source.
He had that man in the room. Look, yes, I put my ear to the door and I brought the phone because Diddy started going in overdrive. I ain't know what the was going on, but I just heard balls slapping against his cheeks. I heard struggling to take. I heard being like, "Yeah, daddy." Like when he started all that daddy this and daddy that, and then I heard some hollering and struggling. Like, yeah, I kept the phone there and I recorded all this.
But then came an unexpected twist. Jaguar Wright stepped forward and pointed the finger at none other than Nicki Minaj, Meek Mill's former girlfriend. According to her, Nicki was the one who slipped money to the bodyguard, paying him to secretly capture the incriminating audio.
The that they put out was real.
Yeah, that was him. Nicki put that out there. That Nicki recorded that at the freak off in the Calabasas. She been waiting to drop that shit with Meek.
Oh, man.
She just wasn't gonna tell nobody it was Diddy. But now that Diddy out there, why not?
So then who's the guy who's claiming he recorded it?
Oh, somebody that got paid.
Jaguar Wright's claim may have sounded far-fetched at first, but then Nicki Minaj herself added fuel to the fire. In a podcast clip that resurfaced, Nicki casually remarked that Meek actually enjoys controversy and even suggested he was unbothered by the leaked audio. She implied that being mentioned in messy situations only kept his name alive, saying he seemed happy with the attention. Coincidence? Maybe, but people on the streets have a saying, where there's smoke, there's usually fire. Things escalated further when DJ Akemix jumped in. He pointed out that in a lawsuit filed by Rodney, Lil Rod Jones, there was mention of a Philadelphia rapper who had once dated Nicki Minaj. Too many. That description hit a little too close to home to be ignored.
We got a lawsuit. So the Lil Rod lawsuit we got.
Yeah, I read through the whole thing.
And it didn't mention Meek by name, but there was a footnote.
A Philly rapper who used to date
the name.
Nicki Minaj.
It was like a Jeopardy question.
Duh, who is that? There could only be one person on the planet. Unless there's a Philly rapper that also dated Nicki that no one knows about, it's obviously Meek Mill.
Meek was furious and even threatened to unalive academics.
He says, "I'm gonna kill you academics," and what I'm gonna do is, he says, first things first, he says, "Someone send me academics' address."
But he said, "I'll die to shut you down."
Yeah, then he says, "I'm going to."
At one point, Meek even tried to flip the narrative by offering $100,000 for a full investigation into the leaked audio. Sounded convincing, but he never followed through. No receipts, no investigators, nothing but tweets. And that left people wondering, if the tape was really fake, why not clear your name for good? Why promise to drop 6 figures, then ghost the whole thing? Instead, Meek leaned into bravado, even aligning himself with what he called the No Diddy gang. Clips circulated of him boasting about his loyalty. But the streets weren't buying it. Justin Combs even jumped into the conversation, dropping a facepalm emoji in response because, let's be real, Meek wasn't just another rapper in Diddy's orbit. He was one of Diddy's closest guys, riding heavy alongside him. The problem for Meek is that the receipts keep resurfacing. Photos, videos, and moments people brushed off years ago suddenly looked different in this new light. One clip, in particular, blew up again: Diddy calling Meek daddy, telling him he was proud, and professing his love. At the time, it felt like playful banter. Now, folks are connecting dots they can't unsee. When you stack it all together, the Vegas party, the leaked audio, the lawsuits, the daddy comment, and Meek's defensive rants on social media, paints a picture that's increasingly hard to wave away as coincidence. Each piece alone might be explained, spun, or dismissed. But when you line them up side by side, the image that emerges is unsettling. A web of power, secrecy, and control that seems to run deeper than most people want to admit. And the internet, it hasn't let up for a second. Online reactions have been merciless, cutting Meek down with brutal jokes and relentless memes. Some users mocked him with crude references to poolside pain, while others ridiculed the idea of 2 grown men in matching outfits, claiming it was all the evidence they needed to brand Meek's loyalty as something far more intimate. In today's digital age, once the mob decides your image is tarnished, it's nearly impossible to polish it back to what it once was. But the jokes are just the surface. Underneath the humor is a darker conversation. Is this leaked tape just the tip of the iceberg? If Diddy really has been recording people as leverage, how deep does this rabbit hole go? And how many rappers, executives, or celebrities are quietly living in fear of footage that could upend their lives if it ever made its way into the public domain? The idea isn't far-fetched when you consider the long tradition of insurance policies in the entertainment business. Powerful figures have always found ways to keep their circles loyal, whether through ironclad contracts, payoffs, or whispered threats. But recording private moments raises the stakes to an entirely new level. With a contract, you can hire a lawyer to fight back. With rumors, you can issue denials. But with video evidence, especially in the age of instant uploads, you're trapped. One leak and your career, your reputation, even your family life could be shattered beyond repair. That's why the whispers about Diddy's so-called vault are so haunting. They suggest not just a few stray recordings, but an intentional pattern, a strategy. Every wild party, every exclusive gathering, could have doubled as a set. The people invited thought they were stepping into luxury and privilege, but in reality, they may have been stepping onto a stage where every move was documented. And if that's true, then the fallout from one tape leaking isn't scandal, it's foreshadowing. The public's reaction to this possibility is telling. For years, celebrities were viewed almost like untouchable gods, their wealth and fame insulating them from the kind of judgment ordinary people face. But in the age of social media, the power dynamic has shifted. Fans, bloggers, and anonymous commenters now act as judge, jury, and executioner. Once the narrative flips against you, every old photo, every clip, every word you've ever said gets re-examined under a harsher light. Meek is experiencing that firsthand. A moment like Diddy casually calling him daddy once seemed harmless, maybe even playful. Now, in the context of leaked audio and suspicious denials, that same clip feels like a puzzle piece locking into place. What makes it worse is the silence. When accusations of this magnitude fly, there's rarely a straightforward way to defend yourself. Denials are easy to issue but hard to make stick, especially when your behavior over the years has provided plenty of fuel for speculation. Meek's insistence that the audio was AI generated may be truer, it may be damage control. The problem is, the public doesn't trust denials anymore. We've seen too many scandals where the initial response was fake news, only for receipts to drop later, proving it all real. In the court of public opinion, trust is already broken, and once that bond is gone, no amount of tweeting can rebuild it. This is why people are asking tougher questions now. If Meek is innocent, why not push harder to prove it? Why float the idea of a $100,000 investigation and then never follow through? Why keep aligning with Diddy even as his empire crumbles under lawsuits and accusations? And why, If there's nothing to hide, do so many old videos and comments suddenly look incriminating when viewed together? The speculation has even stretched beyond Meek himself. Observers are beginning to wonder, if there's one tape, why wouldn't there be dozens? Or hundreds? Diddy has been at the center of the music industry for decades, moving through eras, genres, and generations of artists. That means he's had access not just to rappers, but to singers, models, actors, and executives, anyone who wanted a piece of the bad boy lifestyle. If recording people was really part of his method, then the vault could be enormous. And if that vault ever cracks open, the ripple effects could shake the entire industry to its core. Imagine the fallout if footage surfaced implicating multiple high-profile names. Careers could vanish overnight, endorsements would be canceled, tours shut down, and brands would run for cover. Some artists might face criminal investigations if the content revealed more than just consensual chaos. Others might retreat completely from the spotlight, unable to withstand the humiliation. It wouldn't just be gossip, it would be cultural earthquake. And yet, for all the danger, there's a perverse fascination with the idea. People are drawn to scandals like this because they peel back the glittery curtain of celebrity. They reveal the flaws, the corruption, the human mess hiding behind carefully crafted images. Fans who once idolized Meek or Diddy are now dissecting their every move, turning them into characters in a drama bigger than any music video or stage performance. It's reality TV on steroids. Except the consequences aren't scripted. That fascination also reveals something deeper about the culture we live in. Social media has trained us to consume other people's lives as entertainment. A leaked tape isn't just shocking its content, it's something to be memed, clipped, and spread across TikTok and Twitter until the line between truth and parody blurs. That's why even Meek's strongest denials don't matter anymore. Once the memes take over, the narrative belongs to the crowd, not the celebrity. And right now, the crowd is convinced he's guilty of more than just bad judgment. Still, the biggest question lingers. How far does this go? Is Meek just the first domino? If Diddy really built his empire on leverage and recordings, then dozens of other rappers, producers, and industry insiders might be sitting quietly, praying their faces never show up on a leaked clip. In that sense, this isn't just about one tape, it's about an entire system of power that could be unraveling in real time. For Diddy, the danger is obvious, but for the culture as a whole, the danger is bigger. Because if the allegations are true, it means the industry has been running on blackmail and manipulation for years. It means some of the biggest songs, tours, and partnerships may have been shaped not by talent or business deals, but by fear of exposure. That possibility shakes the foundation of everything fans thought they knew about the music world. One thing is certain. The circle around Diddy doesn't look glamorous anymore. It looks tangled, messy, and dangerous. And with every new detail that comes to light, the sense grows that the leaked tape might not be an isolated scandal. It might be the first crack in a dam that's been holding back years of secrets.